When One Punch Man was first released, it was met with praise and high scores. People loved what the show had to offer in terms of animation and storytelling, and with season 2 underway, people were excited to see another season of Gold. But with the main character leaving and the trailer showing changes to the art style, people were getting skeptical as to what the season had to offer. I finally got around to watching the series, and honestly, it was a big disappointment. Now, there are many reasons as to why this didn't live up to the massive success of the first season, and a big reason for that was because of its story. Now, the actual story isn't actually bad. In fact, I like the direction that the story goes in terms of characters and the overall world. But what really made this season fall apart was the execution of the plot. One of the biggest reasons as to why One Punch Man was so popular was because of its successful attempts to be a satire on the shonen genre, playing on tropes that had long been overused and pushing them into the boundaries that we've never seen before. It was fresh, it was new, and it was something that we could all relate to. Rather than laughing at the anime for once, we were laughing with the anime, and it felt good. Season 2 of One Punch Man felt like it pushed less into the over-exaggeration of the tropes for some reason, so much so that it felt like it was being those tropes without actually making fun of it. What One Punch Man Season 1 was making fun of then is what Season 2 has become. It's the perfect example of the anime version of an artist or musician who's going out against the thing that they disliked, only to slowly but surely see themselves become the thing they once made fun of or hated. The season itself wasn't even bad, but for a show to fall in such a way is disappointing. Now, of course, there is a silver lining to all of this. While the season was a letdown, they have built up something big to go down in the next season, and my optimism for this show hasn't been completely killed off. I don't know when we'll get another season of the show, or if we even plan on getting another season, which is most likely the case, but I hope next season we can get a payoff to the story that they're telling and the character development, and really give us something to get hyped and excited for. But we haven't even reached probably the biggest problem for this show, and that, my friends, is the animation. I think that everyone can agree that while we did like the satire that One Punch Man 1 gave us, the animation is what attracted us most to the show. Best example of the show's animation at its finest was the final fight scene from Season 1. I can only think of a few things right now that could top its animation, such as some fight scenes from Kill la Kill, the final fight from Mob Psycho 2, and of course the fight scene from episode 19 of Demon Slayer. But other than those examples, that fight scene goes unmatched from anything this decade. With the release of Season 2, however, nothing even came close to that style of animation at all. There were some good looking fights here and there, but not even Saitama's one-hit fights were as well animated as the ones in last season. Now, I wouldn't say that the animation was awful, and far from it, but you really feel how much the show's animation carried a lot of its success on the weight of its shoulders, and of course, that's always a dangerous thing. While animation and music are just as important, having their success related to those things is dangerous, since you never know when the cost is going to have a problem and you may not be able to sustain that level of animation. Of course, you always want good animation for your anime, but the story and characters should always be the biggest focal point in most situations. And it seems like One Punch Man just found itself in a trap of having to rely on it so much. Of course, it's not bad for this, since it did give us one of the best animations of this decade in Season 1, in my opinion at least, but the drop off from going to Season 1 to Season 2 was a huge one, and it brought the overall quality of the show down. Of course, there were some positives for this season in terms of characters. The direction they went with characters is one of the biggest reasons why I stuck around and watched Season 2. One of the biggest talking points was introducing to Garou and his development throughout the show. Garou's motives were built on a young age of watching monsters constantly being beaten by the good guys, even if monsters might have a valid reason of doing so. There is a moment where Garou, as a young kid, is watching a show and there's a huge crab destroying the city, but it's for polluting the air and sea. The hero beat up the crab and saved the day, but Garou is right to believe that the crab just wanted to stop pollution, which is a pretty good reason for getting mad. Even when he's younger playing monsters and heroes, Garou was always treated like a monster, never getting a chance to win and always getting unfairly picked on even with standing up for himself. But instead of translating into him being more sympathetic to monsters or him wanting to be better than those heroes, he takes it in a more evil approach, wanting to become the strongest monster and prove that monsters can be just as good, if not better than humans. This is driven home even more when the monster offered to help him gang up on the heroes, like the way heroes were ganging up on monsters. He instantly rejects the offer, telling them that he will do it fairly and on his own, driving home the fact that even though he is killing all these heroes, he does have some honor in fighting and will never take a dirty approach, always testing his power in one-on-one fights. They even showed that he's not even all that bad, helping out a kid throughout the series and being really kind to him along the way before the kid finds out that he's the hero killer. The full development of the character was very well crafted, and hopefully we could see the payoff of the goals very soon. Other characters like Genos and Saitama also have the development from the previous seasons. Genos wanting more power and doing everything and anything he can to keep them, while at the same time trying to remember the goal he set for himself and not losing his way. Always pushing himself to his limits and even sacrificing himself to both save the people and prove himself as worthy, but coming up short in most important places. And Saitama being one of the strongest heroes, though not recognized as one, feeling empty inside while doing his hero work and trying to find the reason why he wants to be a hero, and him realizing that even though he can fight, he still has a long way to go to find out what it truly means for him to be a hero. This is paired up really good with him being with King and playing video games. Saitama doing it just to do it, just like his hero work, and King playing video games because it's his passion, giving everything he's got into the games. Both are good developments, and if we investigate the future, I feel like both of them are going to cross paths in a very destructive way. Genos losing his way, being overwhelmed and wanting more power, and Saitama realizing what it means to be a hero and trying to save Genos from himself. Though this is just a guess. But I feel like it'd be a really good way to end their story and resolve it in such an epic way. Compared to the first season, the second season was lacking in more places than one, but there are some silver linings to at least be excited about. Like I said before, they're going to have to bring it next season if they don't want to fall into a downward spiral. I have faith that the crew can do it if given enough time to really work on the series. Maybe the animation might not be the same, but hopefully they can bring the satire and the action that we all loved from the first season and give us something that's truly good. But right now, I'm going to have to give One Punch Man Season 2 a 5 out of 10.